That's Jimmy Stein. I'm Clint Lamb, and this is the Cover Crimson YouTube channel. Jimmy, we were hoping to hop on here on Monday and be talking about another Alabama win. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about, because Alabama beat LSU 20-9 on Saturday in Tuscaloosa. And did it look the way we all thought it was going to look? No. Very few of these games really have. In many ways, the defense kind of carried, but at the same time, the offense figured out a way to, score points when it needed to. Something that some people criticize you for was the post-bye week thoughts about, you could see a lot of these games, Alabama scoring somewhere in the 20s. And not only did you were correct, but they were on the low end of that, which I think even for me and you, a little bit lower than we were expecting. So Alabama's got some problems offensively. We're going to be getting to that. But first of all, what were some of your initial thoughts on how the game turned out?
Yeah, I did say coming off that bye week that Alabama in these last three SEC games might only score, in the 20s. And that wasn't greeted well, even though at the time I wrote it, Alabama was averaging only 29 points a game in SEC games. That average is now down to 28 points a game. And in SEC games, I think the most that they score, I think they scored 37 maybe against Tennessee and 30 against Vanderbilt. But really my reason for stating that, and I do think the principal reason Alabama struggled to score against LSU was LSU. They're very good on defense. They've been very good all year. They didn't make any defensive changes to the staff. As much as, okay, you fired Brian Kelly, you elevated Frank Wilson, you got a new play caller, all that happened on offense. I mean, Blake Baker's defense and his staff remained intact. And I think for the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, LSU had the best defense in this league. It sort of went downhill in those final 2 weeks before they fired Brian Kelly, and it skewed their stats. But the principal reason Alabama struggled to score a lot is because LSU's really good on defense. That's number one. Number two, Alabama's issues running the football. And obviously, me and you are going to talk about that a lot today, probably a lot Wednesday, and frankly, a lot for the rest of 2025 and the ensuing offseason, because it's a thing. It's a thing. It's definitely a problem that the team has. And we'll discuss the why and how can you fix it. But let's just say for now, it's a problem. I like how you put in the intro under the topics about Ty needs more help. That's sort of across the board on offense. Defense is helping him out quite a bit, because if it wasn't for the defense, you don't even win on Saturday. But the offense isn't helping him. His offensive, he's not getting help in the run game. The wide receivers are great, and it's the strength of this team. Not sure they had their best day ever. There's a couple of drops, couple of tough catches they didn't make. I'm not going to hold that against them. I never hold it against them when they fail to make a really difficult catch, but it would be nice. No one gets to go to college for free and make NIL and rev share money because they can catch balls that hit them right in the numbers. I mean, they're there because they can make the circus catch. That's why they're there. But that said, probably not the wide receivers' absolute best day of the year, though they're still fine. Josh Cuevas had a career day, by the way. Still excellent as a receiver. Not sure we talk enough about tight end blocking, and we'll talk about that on the show today. Offensive line, pretty good job in pass protection. Only one sack, not too many pressures, but the run blocking is still, a major issue. So overall, Clint, if you're an Alabama fan, you have to be thrilled with a win over LSU. They're a good team. They've only lost to good teams. They've now lost 4 times. That's a 4th good team that beat them. I'm fine with saying this. I think LSU, all things considered, is still one of the top 20 football teams in the country. No one outside of the top 20 has beaten them, I don't believe. I just think they're very good. Their personnel's great. They're well coached even without Brian Kelly. And it's a good football team, and Alabama beat a good football team, and fans should be really happy about that.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of that. I do think that, winning these games, they're hard. LSU is a good team. The reason that you will hear us complain, and I said it on Saturday after the game, and then I reiterated it Sunday, and I'll say it again on Monday. The reason that we're still worried and discussing the issues with the run game or some of the other deficiencies, it's not when you are playing against the teams like LSU that are good but flawed. You can still win those football games. It's Oklahoma. I don't know that they're complete. They're certainly not complete, but they're getting closer. I think defensively they're really good. I think their quarterback is getting a lot better, and he can beat you in a variety of ways. Their run game is still not good, and so that is a deficiency that they have, similar to Alabama. But they got good pass catchers, so like they're closer to a complete team than LSU. Auburn has some deficiencies, a lot of deficiencies, but I think they're starting to get things on track. I think the coaching change actually helped them and helped that offense. And the defense, while it very much struggled against Vanderbilt, that's going to be in Jordan Hare Stadium, and they've been pretty good all year. So I would fully expect that to be a tough game as well. But this is more about if you face Texas A&M in the SEC championship and potentially the college football playoff. If you play Ohio State, you play Indiana, some of these other top tier teams, they need to have some of these issues either addressed by improvement in some form or fashion, or have a very sound way that they will overcome or minimize those weaknesses' impact on the game. So like they have to, otherwise I just don't think they're going to go very far. I believe in their ability to do that, which is why I still very much believe that they're a national championship contending team, but they've got to get it fixed. We'll start with the defense going against LSU's offense, because let's start off on a positive vibe, because they're playing really good football. I think so far this year they're currently tied for number 13th nationally in points per game allowed, scoring defense, giving up 17.2 points per game. When you look at SEC play specifically, it only goes up to 18.3 points per game. That is a really good sign, a really, really good sign. Because, I mean, Louisiana Monroe, they didn't score any. Wisconsin, not a very good football team. They scored 14. So, like, that's going to help. Obviously, you gave up 31 to Florida State, which is going to counteract that a little bit. But my point is that a lot of these teams, you'll see them up in that same range. But when you start actually comparing it to the good football teams on their roster, there's normally like it'll jump 5-6 points. For Alabama, it's only jumping up just over a point. So they're playing really good defense. Red zone has been incredible. I was looking at this. 4 trips. LSU had 4 trips to the red zone. Were held to 3 field goals, and Alabama got 1 stop. Against South Carolina, 3 trips to the red zone, only gave up 1 touchdown, held them to 2 field goals. Tennessee, 5 trips, 2 touchdowns, but 3 stops. Missouri, 3 trips to the red zone, 2 touchdowns, 1 field goal. Probably one of their worst SEC outings as far as the red zone, but that's still not terrible by any means. Vanderbilt, 3 trips to the red zone, 1 touchdown, 2 stops, the Pavia fumble, the Pavia interception. Georgia, 3 trips to the red zone, 2 touchdowns, 1 field goal, 0 field goals, and 1 stop, that hurry up 4th down that Cash Jones, they tried to catch Alabama off guard, and Alabama got the stop. Yeah, so 21 trips total in SEC play for opposing offenses to the red zone. They have scored 8 touchdowns, 6 field goals, and Alabama's defense has gotten 7 stops. So Alabama almost has as many stops in the red zone. Stops is meaning not just holding them to a field goal, but keeping them from scoring points, as they have given up touchdowns. Jimmy, that is a massive deal.
That's a national championship winning stat. I mean, you just described a national championship team. Now, obviously, it's going to take some other elements, a football team contributing. But I mean, that sounds like something a national championship team would do. And I think that's why Alabama is still this late in the season, and we're now getting very late. I mean, for instance, Alabama could lose to Oklahoma and beat Eastern Illinois, and now you're at Thanksgiving, and Alabama's squarely in the playoff picture. So we're late in the season. And for Alabama to have those numbers, I mean, Alabama, this has been a great year. It's been a great year, flawed team, but a great year, and in large part to the defense. When you mentioned that Alabama's 13th nationally in scoring, whenever you look at numbers like that, and I look at them all the time, they're extremely valuable. And I spend so much of Sundays poring over statistics like that. But you always have to keep in mind that Alabama, you're 13th in the nation and giving up points, which is great. But you've also played per ESPN, I think the fourth toughest schedule. And that's not schedule adjusted. So Alabama's done that against the number 4 schedule, which makes it even more amazing, which is why I say I am finally comfortable stating emphatically this is a top 10 defense. I've been saying on the show that, boy, getting closer. Boy, I'm getting closer to being able to say this out loud and mean it. But I really believe that this Alabama team is one of the 10 best defenses in college football, which in my opinion makes them elite. And it's been a building process. Obviously, you got off to that terrible start against Florida State. And then there's been points, the first quarter against Vanderbilt was pretty bad. There's been times it hasn't been good, but after 9 games, that's a 3/4 of the season, after playing this schedule, playing that schedule to get to this point, I'm emphatic. This is a top 10 defense. I think Alabama and Oklahoma are the 2 best defenses in the SEC. Fans will be treated Saturday to that. And, probably, like I joked on Twitter, take the under. 2 best defenses in the league. And this Alabama defense did a great job against LSU. I know LSU's had its struggles on offense. They really have. But at the same time, I mean, they do have good players. I mean, Harlan Berry, their backup running back, I think is going to be a pro football player down the road. Nussmeier came in to this year, talked about being the number 1 pick in the draft. I think he's been banged up, hurt. He's had sort of a lost year, but he's still Garrett Nussmeier. Their outside receivers, particularly Barryon Brown, who I think is an exciting guy, reminds me a little bit of Ryan, reminds me a little bit of those A&M guys, Concepcion and Mario Craver. He's good. Aaron Anderson, Nick Anderson, who got hurt real bad in the game. Tre'Davious Green, me and Clint talked about him all week, and I thought Greg McElroy was going to fall out of the booth talking about him Saturday. But Trey Green definitely has a lot of ability, and but for Alabama's defense to hold them without a touchdown, nobody else has done that this year. By the way, I know when they say, "Well, LSU struggled on offense," yeah, nobody did what was done to them except for Alabama. Alabama's the only one to hold them to 9 points or something, no touchdowns. Only Alabama's done that. So it was a great performance. I know you brag on him a lot. I think you like Nikai Hill-Green. I thought it was the best game that he's played in an Alabama uniform. Bray Hubbard, good again. Yanze Pierre he now deserves, I don't know if he'll have the stats to back it up because he wasn't a full-time player until recently, but I know this. I'm not trading him for any Wolf outside linebacker in this league. I mean, I'm not trading for any of them. So if he doesn't make all SEC, it's a crime to me because I'm not trading him for any other outside linebacker in this league at this point. He's a disruptive playmaking force. LT Overton plays better all the time. James Smith playing better all the time. Dijon Lee, no longer playing like a freshman. He plays like a freshman All-American. He should be and deserves and has earned freshman All-American honors. Defense doing well. Shout out to Kane Wommack. It's his crew. It's his boat. And they're really, really good. And the defense is the reason from this point forward, I'll believe that we're going to see Alabama in Atlanta and in the college football playoff behind this defense.
I think that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, and that's not what we were predicting going into the season. Just having a quarterback play caller marriage that was a lot more aligned, expecting the offensive line to be really good, all the pass catchers that they had, a good stable of running backs, maybe nobody that was elite, but you see teams be a lot more effective running the football with way less talented guys. I'll go ahead and tell you that. So we thought that the defense was going to be a strong complementary piece to that. We like the secondary. So if any team had to start throwing or trying to, outscore Alabama because of what they were doing on offense, we thought, okay, hopefully the pass rush improves. Great secondary, should be able to hold up as far as in the passing game, having one of the better pass defenses, like the second level. But I mean, this team's identity right now, it's wild because I still say easily the most critical player for Alabama is Ty Simpson. But when it comes to the group, the unit that I think right now is contributing the most to Alabama getting wins, it is the defense because they're playing winning football. I mean, it's like you said. I mean, Yanze Pierre continues to be an absolute terror getting after the quarterback. And with Quay Russaw coming back, that's only going to bolster that position and maybe provide some versatility. LT Overton, I thought, played a good game on Saturday against LSU. Finally was able to finish and get a sack, and it looked like he wasn't about to get it. Looked like he was about to get shook, but he said, nope, not today. Got the sack. That was great for him. I think Tim Keenan played well. I think Keon Keeley, as a situational player, continues to provide valuable reps. London Simmons played a good game. James Smith was not bad. He's not making the type of impact that I was hoping, but he still has not been a liability or a problem. He's just been good, not great, and hopefully that continues to improve. But Edric Hill, I thought, played pretty well. Second level, loved all three of the linebackers. Thought they were all incredible. I thought Justin Jefferson played another great game. Deontay Lawson, especially against the run, was fantastic. Nikai Hill-Green looks way more comfortable and more fluid in coverage than I gave him credit for. Like, I still don't think that's a strength of his, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if he continues to play like he's playing right now, he will play on Sundays. And not saying he's going to be some star player necessarily, but he will make an NFL roster and he will provide valuable reps because, he's not right now, he's not a reliability in coverage. And what he's doing against the run is absolutely fantastic, which is exactly what we were expecting. You look at Noah Carter at Wolf, thought he played a good game, providing good quality rotational reps. On the back end, Bray Hubbard looked incredible, triggering downhill, being physical, was solid in coverage, forcing turnovers. Dijon Lee, just really this defense in general, including Dijon Lee. They had 3 sacks. They had 7 tackles for loss. They had 3 forced fumbles. They had 2 pass breakups. They made plays in a variety of ways, and it is helping Alabama win football games because if you did not – the offense scoring 20 – I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you would have said Alabama's hitting 20 points in this football game, I know I predicted that LSU would be like around 17. I still would not have felt good about that. I would have said, high 20s, and that's how they've won all year. But only scoring 20, I would have been very worried going into this football game if you had told me that. And yet, at no point in that football game, Jimmy, maybe I'm wrong, but I never felt like the game was in doubt. Did you?
No. There were some anxious moments where if something happened, the game at that point could have moved into the doubt category. But it seemed like LSU was always one score behind, making it worrisome at the end. I think LSU certainly stayed within shouting distance the entirety of the 60 minutes. There's no doubt that they forced Alabama to play 60 minutes of football. There's no question that happened. But at no point did I worry that the outcome wouldn't be what we wanted. Why? Because the defense was so good. They clamped down in the red zone. Like it's really unbelievable. It's Saban era esque, those red zone numbers. Now the Saban era, a lot of those defenses were so freaky, no one was getting the red zone. But it's not that kind of defense, but it's very, very good. Again, to me, a cutoff point is like, who are the top 10 defenses in college football? Because that's an elite bunch there. And Alabama's one of those 10. If you're top 2 in the SEC, you certainly are. And I believe Alabama is top 2. For instance, I think Alabama's 3rd scoring defense in the SEC, this is off the top of my head, 3rd scoring defense, 3rd total defense. And Oklahoma's ahead of them in both, which makes them the best defense in the league. But the other team that's ahead of them is well behind Alabama in the other category. To me, that makes Alabama, clearly the 2nd best defense in the league. And then you get in the analytics, and ESPN says in terms of how they measure defensive efficiencies, Alabama's the 9th most efficient defense in the country. I think that's incredible when you factor in, again, their strength of schedule, which ESPN agrees is extremely high. Now, specifically as to this game, I agree with Clint 1,000,000%. If you told me before the game that Alabama was scoring 20, I would have been like, uh-oh. I also had LSU scoring 17 in the game, but I would have said, uh-oh. And by the way, if you only score 20 this week against Oklahoma, you might be in trouble. Oklahoma's better offensively than LSU is. Alabama is going to give up more than 9 points to Oklahoma. Oklahoma's just too good. Mateer is too good, and they have outside playmakers too. But I just don't think you're going to hold Mateer to 9 points. Now, I don't think they're going to score something like beyond 24 or 21. That would shock me. But I do think that they will score more than LSU. So Alabama better find a way And we'll talk about that when it comes to the offense. Right now, I still want to throw flowers at the defense because it was just not just a great performance, Clint, but a great cap to the first 9 games. Like, wow, y'all have really come a long way. Y'all are now really good. They play so many guys. They played 23 guys. As you know, I complain about that. But at the same time, I'm complaining. I'm still complaining. I think it's still too many. But I admit that you've built some fun depth there. The depth that has been built about how you can bring Noah Carter, who had a great win rate. He wasn't out there for a lot of snaps, but you noticed him on every one of them because he's so active and he's disruptive. Here's another shout out, a guy that took a lot of crap last year, which is ridiculous for a true freshman, but Red Morgan, who's such a
Yep.
good player now. And again, I mean, just a little pro tip here. When you're talking about college football, it's a developmental sport and they're at a developmental age. When you're evaluating as a fan, is this guy good or not? It has to start with this. How old is he? It has to start with that. You can't judge a freshman in the exact same manner you judge a 5th-year senior. It just doesn't work that way. That freshman's going to get better and better and better. And when you have really young players on the field, they're going to take their lumps. Yeah, Red got beat quite a bit as a true freshman. My answer to that is so what? Didn't really mean anything in terms of how good he can be. And now we're seeing it. Now we're seeing it. It reminds me a lot of Malachi Moore. I think that he's very similar to Malachi, instinctive, pound for pound, really tough. Maybe not the best cover guy in the world, but he's still going to win out on toughness and being a playmaker in the middle of the field, which is so Malachi. I think by the time Red Morgan's career is done, he's going to be a turnover making machine like Malachi was, maybe even more in the caused fumble category than just the interception category, though there will be both. I just think Red Morgan is turning into a really good player, and he should be the starting Husky next season. And I think Alabama's basically got an all-star there at that nickel corner spot. And Red Morgan, he's great, and the depth that Alabama's developed allows for that, whether it's Noah Carter, whether it's some of these backup defensive linemen who are playing snaps between Faga and Kelby Collins. I mean, they play a lot of guys. Edric Hill, London Simmons, again, stepping up. Great job of building depth there, despite the fact that people like me complain about it. But the defense is the reason Alabama will be ranked 4th in the nation when the college football playoff rankings come out Tuesday night, in excellent shape for the playoff. I think we all know the Eastern Illinois win. Nick Saban would track me down and murder me for putting that in the win category, but I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway, since Saban's probably playing golf in Miami or near Miami. I'm going to go ahead and put Eastern Illinois in the win category. You've only got to beat Oklahoma or Auburn, and you're in for sure. You've only got to win one of the two. I believe Alabama's going to win both. I just also believe both of them may be heart attack type games. But I think Alabama's going to find a way to win both by one score. Why? The defense and tie.
Yeah. Once again, I feel confident in that as well. And it will be interesting conversations because both are losable football games. There's no doubt about it. But they're also the types of games that Alabama not only can win, but has been winning. So, yeah, I'm not going to pick against them. I can tell you that right now. But they're both going to be challenges, no doubt about it. And I've said that Alabama needs to start putting teams away. I still believe that. I think they're playing a very dangerous game by letting teams hang around, because at some point, if you're doing that consistently, some of those things, some of those key moments in a football game are going to break against you. And if they do, if the other team takes advantage, they could end up beating you. And right now, Alabama, yes, I mean, you can make an argument that I think we're both pretty certain they do have one more mulligan, but I would 10-1 rather beat Oklahoma this weekend. And, then you got Eastern Illinois. And then even if you lose the Iron Bowl, Auburn can't ruin your playoff chances. So, that would
probably
definitely.
Still in Atlanta, by the way. You're probably still in Atlanta,
Very
way.
good point. Now, something else I want to talk about is as we continue on. Well, first, I want to agree with what you were saying about Red Morgan, because he deserves every bit of the praise you gave him. I mean, this guy just continues to put his head down, go to work, and despite people like me not because I didn't believe in Red. I just believed in a lot of the other guys more. I mean, so it was never, I don't think either one of us were ever down on Red Morgan. It was just, okay, where does he fit in though? Because I mean,
Right.
okay, Deshaun Jones, he took over that Husky role. He seems like he's going to stay there. We heard a lot about Drake Kirkpatrick. They moved Red Morgan out to perimeter cornerback in the spring to help with some injuries. But it's like Dre, you're hearing good things about him. You got 3 safety, starting caliber safeties with Zay Mincy along with Bray Hubbard and Keon Sabb. Obviously, you got a bunch of corners that you like. So it's that was the thing is we kind of feel like he'd get lost in the shuffle. And yet he's been one of those guys like, no, you're not going to forget about me. I'm going to force my way into a continued role and in some ways an increased role from a season ago. So give him a lot of credit for that. No doubt about it. The pass rush against LSU, you had the 3 sacks, and Yanze Pierre was great. He had a couple of them. LT Overton had a sack. But we talked a lot in the offseason about really needing to improve the pass rush. Well, right now, currently, let's see, they're down. I think they're tied for number 67 in the country in sacks per game with just 2 per game. But what I want to point out to people is since SEC play started, that average has jumped to 2.5 a game. And if you look at where that would rank, it would be tied for 33rd nationally. So that's some climbing. But then if you look at the last 3 games that Alabama has played, which is a pretty good sample size against some good football teams, Tennessee, South Carolina, and LSU, Alabama's averaging 3 a game, which would put them right on the border of being ranked top 10 nationally in sacks. So you got to do it over the course of an entire season. You can't ignore all those other data points that you have. But what I'm trying to say is since SEC play started, they've been trending in the right direction. And in the last 3 games, they've been trending in the right direction, continuing to improve. That's massive for this defense because their ability to generate turnovers, their ability outside of the occasional explosive play to stop the run, their ability to get stops, not just hold teams to field goals, but actually get stops in the red zone. You're talking about a makeup of a potentially elite group. So when you say top 10, I'm right there with you. You would like to see the explosive runs that they allow be eliminated or limited a lot more than they are because it's pretty much death taxes and Alabama giving up at least 1 or 2 explosive runs every single game. But other than that, they are doing a really good job of stopping the run at the, pretty not, a lot of the issues with those explosives are 3rd level problems, perimeter problems. But I think right now the 1st and 2nd level, they're doing a really good job of being productive against the run. But then you're also seeing guys good in coverage. Like I'm not looking at, like I said, Nikhil Green's playing good coverage. Justin Jefferson's a freaking defensive back moving. His ability to click and close, incredible. One of the best in the country, in my opinion. One of the best athletes at off-ball linebacker in the country. Deontay Lawson, good in coverage, providing some pass rushing juice a little bit, and then also being right now what I think is an elite run defender. And, Nikhil Green is doing great things as well. So whether it's 1st or 2nd level, they're just getting super production from that group as far as impacting quarterbacks, being good against the run, putting opposing offenses in unfavorable situations. This is a winning recipe, I promise.
Oh, I love it, and I'll say, I don't think if Oklahoma and Auburn staff are listening to the show, and they probably should. Uh, I don't think Oklahoma is going to have any luck running the ball against Alabama, and I don't think Auburn will either. I mean, now somebody down the road might, but I don't think we're going to see Oklahoma. Like for instance, as much trouble as Alabama had running the ball this weekend, guess who else had trouble running the ball? LSU. As a matter of fact, LSU and Alabama's rushing yards were about equal, down to the number of carries, down to the number of yards. Now, it looked a little different because they had a nice run or 2 that Alabama didn't have. But when you add it all up, and that's what you do in this sport, you add it all up. LSU didn't run the ball any better than Alabama did. I think that's what you'll see against Oklahoma and Auburn, whether it's Alabama on the low end like them or not. But I would say Oklahoma, I say, I don't think Oklahoma or Auburn will rush for 100 yards against this Alabama defense. I don't see it happening. I think if Alabama loses to Oklahoma or Auburn, it will be against Oklahoma. It will be because of Mateer. And if they lose to Auburn, it will be because of Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton. I mean, and Malcolm Simmons. I mean, if they lose, it'll be those reasons, but it won't be because they lined up and ran the ball with this deep. Alabama's just too good. I love the fact how all three inside linebackers are making such a positive impact. And you see them out there together. I mean, gosh, we were kind of a one package defense a year ago. This year, they have all sorts of looks that they use. And one of them is all three of those guys on the field. Now, usually Lawson kicks outside. And so they wouldn't say, well, we don't have three inside linebackers on the field. Deontay Lawson's playing Wolf. I get that. But I care about what room they're in. They're in the inside linebacker room. Their coach, is Chuck Morrell's their coach, not Christian Robinson. So they're the inside linebackers. Yeah, I do know Deontay often lines up outside when that's the case. But I love when all three of them are out there. It's a great run stopping unit when it is. And now you're going to get Quay Russaw back. That we'll see. There's press conferences later today. We're taping this Monday morning. I'm sure DeBoer is going to be asked, "Hey, is Quay Russaw back this week?" I'm expecting to hear a maybe. I don't know what we'll hear. I'm predicting as y'all are listening to this, y'all have already heard. So I'm predicting. I think we're going to hear a maybe on Quay Russaw being back for even this Saturday. It'll be interesting to see the snap share because frankly, I don't like Yanze coming off the field very much right now. But I also think it can be a heck of a platoon because when Russaw is healthy and he's at the top of his game, he's one heck of a run defender. Yanze's one heck of a pass rusher. That just screams platoon to me in terms of, who plays on the passing downs, who plays on the run downs. But hey, add one more good football player to the pile, and that would be outstanding. But no, I like Alabama's chances against Oklahoma in part because of what we saw on defense against LSU. It's a really good defense. It's a top 10 defense. And you pointed out some numbers earlier, Clint. I know what the numbers overall are, but what really matters is what are you right now? What are you right now? And right now, Alabama can rush the passer.
That's exactly right. And, at times you're seeing there was one, it was a 2nd and 8. It was Edric Hill. It was Isaiah Faga, and it was Jordan Renaud all on the field as the lone 3 defensive linemen. You had Justin Hill playing a shallow off-ball linebacker behind those guys. Then you had Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson as the 2 true off-ball linebackers behind him. That's an average of your front 6 because they were in nickel, so there was 5 defensive backs in the field. That's an average of just 257 pounds amongst your front 6. And it was a 2nd and 8. It wasn't like it was this obvious passing situation. Yes, you can say, based off a tendency, like LSU is going to be throwing the football, but them going light like that was surprising. But then in some ways, with the disruptive nature in which Kane Wommack wants to have Alabama's defense, it kind of fits where you're getting like the big body Tim Keenan, 0 tech, 2 gapping, James Smith playing out there as a 4-eye or a 4 on the tackle. It's like you're getting those looks, but you're also getting smaller, more active, undersized, disruptive pieces up front, and you're getting them all on the field together. You would think that would be dangerous from a rushing standpoint, like a run game standpoint. But, at the same time, I think that it's a change of pace. And from an offensive lineman's perspective, imagine going from you're essentially facing a close to 300-pound James Smith and Tim Keenan, and all of a sudden you got a sub 300 nose in Isaiah Faga. You got a 284-pound Edric Hill out there. You got a 265-pound Jordan Renaud. It's like the switch up for opposing offensive lines is pretty difficult, and that's why I kind of like it in a way. I'm not saying that they're not going to get run on sometimes, but, they're overall, they had that grouping on the field together on Saturday, and yet that was not the play where they broke off a long run, and the run game was good. So I actually kind of like having the it's almost like a thunder and lightning grouping along your defensive front, which is pretty cool. And when you talk about Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson, like despite the fact that they're 228 and 227 pounds, they do a pretty good job of stopping the run. So especially Deontay Lawson. So, I really like what they're doing. I love what, the secondary is doing right now. Dijon Lee's playing great football. As you said, that length was massive against Trey'Dez Green on the pass breakup in the end zone. That's something we've seen him moss multiple people this year, and you're not mossing Dijon Lee. You're not getting up and over him. I don't care if you are 6'7". I'm not saying you can't win some contested catches against him, but I'm saying as far as just him having no chance, he's going to be able to get up there, and battle at the catch point just like you are. And I absolutely love seeing that length out there. Is there anything else that you want to talk about with the defense before we get out of here and we switch over to the offense?
Just one last comment, brief comment is that, I have, like I said, criticized you doing, you brought up all those guys that were on the field, which kind of gets to like my criticism. I can't believe they play that they play this many guys. I mean, you're playing LSU, the game's on the line, the season's on the line. It's only a 2-score game or a 1-score game. And you've littered the field with twos, guys that aren't your starters on defense. And but the end result, they've built a lot of great depth. And I think Kane Wommack's, he's got either a really big brain or a really big set. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got one or the other. I mean, because it makes me every time I see it, I get so nervous about it. Like, this can't be the right thing to do. But look at the end result. I tip my cap. End result. Look what he's done. Look what he's doing.
That's 100% right. And as far as Russaw, because this question has been asked so many times, and what's going to happen with him when he gets back healthy? What are you going to do? One of the things that I want to point out, the problem is that he is not one of Alabama's best pure pass rushers. And so I think they like having Deontay Lawson as a field general on the field in those obvious passing situations. So Justin Jefferson is like the lone off-ball linebacker, but he didn't have to handle the communication side of things. That gets to be Deontay Lawson, and Lawson can help as far as being a pass rusher a little bit. But, the fact that Russaw was not a part of those obvious passing situations early in the season, that I would be surprised if he was. But if you're not using 3-4 personnel, which you wouldn't be doing unless you were going against more run heavy packages, 12 personnel, 21 personnel, that type of situation, then having Russaw and Yanze Pierre on the field at the same time, I think you sacrifice something as far as a size standpoint, and you might be a little bit more vulnerable against the run. So I think the only chances that you have of seeing that are in those 3-4 personnel packages or situations, or in obvious passing situations. But like I said, the fact that we haven't seen Quay in a lot of those situations up to this point, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe that changes, but I also wouldn't be surprised if you really didn't see that. Maybe you either saw Russaw or you see Yanze, and I would venture to guess you'd see Yanze in those situations. So I guess my point is unless Quay Russaw makes the move moving forward to off-ball linebacker, which is not going to be happening in 2025 because the 3 guys that you have, you're not taking those guys off the field, especially as a guy's making a transition to a new position that's pointless. But as far as for 2026, that is something that maybe you could do. And then in certain situations, you could kick Quay Russaw out to being another edge, kind of like a Jihad Campbell, and you can have those 2 guys out there on the edge getting out to the quarterback together. That's just something to at least keep in mind. But as far as the pass rushing production, I think Yanze in his going into Saturday, he was averaging 18.1 pass rushing snaps per game. Since he had taken over as the starter, that number was 27.5 pass rushing opportunities per game. When Quay was the starter, you got to remember, Florida State threw the football 14 times. Yeah. ULM was a blowout. Wisconsin, in a lot of ways, was a blowout, and he got hurt early against Georgia, only played a few snaps. So he was averaging like 5.3 pass rushing opportunities per game in those games. So there's this huge discrepancy. Like on Saturday, Pierre got 25. So right up there, just a little bit below what his average had been since becoming the starter. But that's a just substantial difference. So this idea of trying to compare apples to apples, Russaw's pass rushing production versus Pierre's, Pierre is clearly the better pass rusher. Not arguing that. No doubt about it. But I'm saying it's unfair to make those comparisons and say Quay should continue to take a huge back seat to Pierre. I think you're going to see both guys, and I think you're going to see a lot of both guys. And it's going to make Alabama's room better because Yanze has had to play a much higher percentage of the snaps. I think you see less of Justin Hill. And right now, I think that's for the best. I'm not saying he's playing poorly. I'm saying that I think you can get more impact out of Quay right now than Justin Hill. And then more than likely, you might see Justin Hill some, but I also wouldn't be surprised if you continue to see Noah Carter because Noah Carter continues to play pretty good football as well. Jimmy, appreciate you talking defense with me. This has been a good, productive conversation. We're going to be back talking about the offense a little bit later on today. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. Definitely get on over to rowback.com. Jimmy's rocking his row back for the second day in a row, at least on the show. I am not. I got to change that because, I'm washing them. And I was scared to wash them. I was wearing them a bunch and not washing them because I was concerned that it's going to like shrink them or screw them up. Everything's fine. We're good. But it just, definitely get on over to rowback.com. Use the promo code Crimson20 to get 20% off your order. And definitely get on over to wherever you listen to the show. It can be, granted, other than YouTube. If you have Apple Podcasts, if you have Spotify, get on over there, search Cover Crimson Podcast Network and follow the show. That would do a lot and go a long way as far as helping us. We appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you guys soon.